Welcome to NFL Daily, where we're still afraid of the presidential fitness test. It's like, remember that sit and reach?
Yeah, the sit and reach was brutal. What was it that destroyed me?
Everything else was fine. Well, you had to do some pull-ups. That was hard.
Yeah, it was the pull-ups before you would kind of develop, and if you would do static hold, if not that.
Yeah.
And I could not do it while like all the girls in gymnastics were cranking them out. If only I could go back, once my upper body like started to exist, and then I could have dominated for no reason.
Younger people probably have no idea what we're talking about, but the sit and hold, that's just something either you're born with that or you're not. And you're never probably going to get that. You could probably improve a little bit.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley, not on the Presidential Council of Fitness. He wanted to let everyone know that. He is a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that plays in the National Football Conference, Patrick.
Oh, okay.
I should have mentioned Patrick Claybon is on this show.
Hey, everybody.
And we're going to hit all 16 teams in the NFC right here in the Chris Wesseling podcast.
We're going to do that today. Saquon took a visit earlier this year that led to him having to answer these questions. Okay, pretty solid evidence why maybe you should just not take the visit.
He was listed as being part of this presidential council, and he said he was shocked to learn that. And that's how I hope our listeners feel when they hear some of these nuggets that we go through, because we're combing through all the reports, all the podcasts, all the tweets, all of it to give you some nuggets. And we're going to start in the NFC North, where I feel like we have reached the point of people freaking out a little too much about the slow start at training camp to the Bears offense. Now, Ben Johnson, he said they had a couple good days, and a lot of the reporters there agreed late last week. And then they had a scrimmage in front of the fans, and it didn't go as well. Here he is answering a question about that.
For continued delay game with penalties and things of that nature, where it just looks like it's not insane.
Yeah, but it's something we're going to have to address for sure. It showed up more today than it has in practice. So this was more like a real game, and if it continues like that, we're not going to win many games.
Yeah, and that's a great honest look at things. I would call it's wild how we've been in the past few years trying to pull the Bears folks back a little bit from like, oh, this is it, and you try to rein them back.
Yeah,
and now here we've got some false starts, as Ben Johnson noted, and delays of game, and the kind of first situation for this team with a new head coach, and it's like here we go again. We're gonna have timeout struggles and chaos when the Lions, a generationally gifted team that Ben Johnson was just on, came out in their first preseason game, turned the ball over immediately, and had 5 turnovers in the game. And Dan Campbell was morose after. Like, these things happen with every rendition of football teams. They happen annually. Every year, it's a new team and a new situation. I would urge caution there. But Johnson is being honest. Yeah, you can't donate 5 yards every time that things aren't going to be good.
And that was a problem at the beginning of training camp. It's not just the false starts. It's like not getting the play call out or confusion. And I think it's a complicated offense, and it's been bumpy. And I think, to your point, I think Bears fans are just a little sensitive after seeing Jaden Daniels get to the NFC Championship and finally assuming they had gotten their great quarterback of the present and the future. But man, it's the first couple weeks. I get at me in the middle of October. I would say even give it a month of this season. Like I would expect everything to be fine. And Ben Johnson is keeping it real. I think everyone should appreciate that. I think Liam Cohen is doing it in Jacksonville too. I like a rookie head coach that is keeping it real. He just said he was disappointed in that performance. It makes total sense that he was disappointed. Something to do, nothing to do with Caleb Williams. They did an exercise like situational football where they started the ball at the 1 yard line, needing to drive 99 yards. And Grady Jarrett got him for a safety, like on the first play, which is it is embarrassing for that to happen. And it is a reminder, like everyone thought, oh, they solved their offensive line issues. Well, they got a 3-way battle at left tackle without anyone totally proven. You're counting on Jonah Jackson, who was a bust for the Rams last year and isn't healthy enough to practice still for the Bears, so he's not in there. And yeah, it'd take a little time on offense.
And it's that double-edged sword of, is Grady Jarrett's back, or like the offensive line is bad. But I really think if you're going to have those types of mistakes, then the week of the first preseason game is the time to have delay of game penalties.
Right,
I'm
the
not going to be
the week before
overly
it.
concerned about delay of games week 1 of preseason.
So to spin that question more positively, they did ask him, like, who are the guys on the team that you're like confident have it all down, are always in the spot that they need to be? And he quickly rattled off Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Olamide Zacchaeus. And he's not saying those are the best 4 players, but they just have it totally down. And that supports something I really have seen a lot out of all the camp reports, that Rome looks better this year. And I think we can expect a nice year 2 bump. We know who DJ Moore is, obviously. And Luther Burden did get back on the field, since we last talked, and had a great day on Thursday where he had a high volume day. So it's good that he is just healthier. And so there's some negative stuff, but there's plenty of positives. I think it's going to be a good defense. Probably the biggest takeaway that actually is going to impact actual games of anything that's happened with the Bears, Patrick, is Jalen Johnson is uncertain to play in week 1. So when Ben Johnson said that, I was like, I appreciate the honesty. A lot of coaches wouldn't, but he kind of admitted, yeah, there's a scenario where he's not even ready for week 1, one of their best players.
Yeah, and the honesty goes a long way with us. Ultimately, what matters is Jalen Johnson's health, which is going to have a significant impact on the Bears' outlook this season. But you can kind of go through the injury discussion things a couple of different ways. And there's a coach when we get to the on the other sides of the conference here, some coaches who are very restrictive with regards to how much they'll even have discussion about injuries. It doesn't change how much time it's going to take for the player to recover.
Right.
Anyway, like it doesn't do anything. So somebody's going to have to explain that to me, why they're so restrictive on that. But I like it. It gives us a chance to learn more about the team, and the Bears need Jalen Johnson desperately.
Right. I think they're going to be leading their defense, which is leading the team with their secondary. And Jalen Johnson got that huge contract for a reason. All right, we went long on the Bears. Let's go short on the Lions, who I don't have a ton more to say about after their preseason game the other day. Taylor Decker, who's been out at left tackle for them, is back in as of Monday, so that's good news. Alex Anzalone got one of the smallest contract adjustments I've ever seen, which I wish more for him, but he got a $250,000 bump in his salary plus incentives. So if you were keeping track of that situation, which was not a hold-in, but the fans wanted more money for Anzalone, he got a very small bump. They also announced that Hendon Hooker is going to start the second preseason game. So they are conducting a backup battle between him and Kyle Allen. Neither one looks great in the Hall of Fame game. Here's a secret. Whenever one team plays bad in one preseason game, they're always great in the next one.
Okay.
And then vice versa. I feel like you could do well just knowing that. Whenever you have a terrible preseason game, they always play hard the next game. Because I think a lot about the preseason is sort of just like that little extra motivation.
Well, I need it. I need it for the Lions here, because the entire pregame, we did an hour of pregame before that on game day kickoff, and it was Hendon Hooker's going to start. And then Kyle Allen comes out there and throws lollipop balls to the sideline.
Oh, he looked okay.
And by the time Hendon Hooker comes in, the game is over. Dan Campbell is so frustrated they pound the rock just to get out of Canton. And so I'm glad to see an opportunity for Hendon Hooker to play in more real game situations.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see Isaac Tesla and
yes,
their 7th round pick. What was his name? Dominic Lovett, who also looks pretty good. So they found some more young weapons.
Isaac Tesla leapt off the screen. I need more.
Yes.
If you want to go back and I know Lions fans, it's tough. You may not want to relive that. Watch all 4 of Tesla's targets.
If he was a car, like his 0 to 60 when he got the ball in his hand was insane. Let's also talk about the Minnesota Vikings. JJ McCarthy. The reports out of camp, more down than up this week in pads. Doesn't have Justin Jefferson out there. Has to play this defense every day, which is not taking it easy on them. They send everything at JJ McCarthy, so I think that should be kept in mind. A Masters level defense, according to Josh Metellus, like in their 3rd year. But overall, the offense reportedly struggling. One big time positive, though, is Christian Darrisaw is now slowly working his way back into team drills. Not even taking all the team drills, but if you remember, their all-pro left tackle who got hurt in October last year at a game I attended. Sounds like he's on track to me for week 1. If you're hitting a little bit of team drills in early August, that sounds very positive.
Yeah, it's always for the best. And the injury updates from camp, again, some teams more revealing than others. And I think the Vikings are in a good spot.
Well, and they close off the access to the media at some point. The fans have already gotten shut off in like half the teams in the league. I see you out there, NFL teams who used to keep it wide open into mid to late August. And now, like, the Browns are done today. The Rams, they have like some situation with coaches, where they're at, but they're done. A lot of the teams actually ended over the weekend. You should allow the fans to watch a little more in the media. We're not going to get to watch.
Like, you don't have to burn vet minutes like tackling or anything like that. Like, have the third stringers to go out there, do some one-on-ones, get the crowd riled up. Like, that's what
we'll be at a Saints practice later this week that no fans will be at. That's we're gonna have exclusive news. A couple other items I listened to Purple Daily. They were saying Jalen Nailor, he's a good 3 that like is a little overmatched as a 2. And I don't know if any of the secondary receivers have really stepped up. They have a 3rd-round pick, Ty Felton, who's had a lot of drops. And then part of it is just their backup quarterbacks. They might be looking for another backup quarterback because Sam Howell and Brett Rippon, it just reportedly is just really not going well, even when they have open receivers. So just a team, I think, to maybe watch late in camp to pick up a veteran from somewhere. If you remember, like 4 years ago, they had the exact same circumstance where it was Kellen Mond and someone else. But basically their backup quarterback was, and then they traded for Nick Mullins right before the season. Where Kevin O'Connell was like, this is not going to fly. We need to find a new quarterback, and they did at the end of camp. I also think it's really interesting. Jeff Okudah, it sounds like he's having a really good camp, and he's locked in as their outside cornerback. 26 years old, number 3 overall pick, still has a chance to revive his career on one of the best defenses.
Always bet on talent. It helps to be on a team, like we said, that's
right
defensively masters level, where you don't have to worry about where somebody else is going to be. You can literally just focus on your.
Or you're the 11th best player on the starting defense, and they target you a lot. So we'll see. Let's wrap up the NFC North with the Packers. They had their family night. I mean, that's a team that does it right. That they've been doing this for decades. Everyone gets in the stadium. It's fantastic. I thought it was interesting. Jaden Reed only had 10 snaps all night, and they were all in the slot. And it might have been something where he's been a little in and out of the lineup, and they're just managing, his snaps. But Matthew Golden on the outside, most snaps on the team. The drumbeat all camp is he's getting the most amount of targets. It's actually been a very quiet week for Jaden Reed. And Matthew Golden, so far, looks like, he might be that volume type of receiver. I don't want to draw too much. Jaden Reed's regular season play is more important than what we've seen, but they might see him more as like a true slot.
And the things that Jaden Reed does, I don't know that you want to necessarily index very highly on those types of plays in camp, especially when you want Matthew Golden to get reps. If he's going to be the volume target guy, and again, like the volume actual route concept target guy, because Jaden Reed's, not all of those targets are what we would like have Jordan Love going through a full progression. Like, we're just getting Jaden Reed the ball versus where Golden you want in a more traditional sense.
Their 1st-round pick from a year ago was an offensive lineman by the name of Jordan Morgan, who right now, if you're looking at the starting lineup, is not going to start. Is going to kind of be a versatile guy who can play a lot of different positions, but a swing guy off the bench. Right now, he's playing a little left tackle because Rashard Walker is hurt. Dontavian Wicks has also been out of practice, and he's going to have a big role. And then looking for standouts, a lot of people think that's covering the team that the cornerbacks have been really good. There was maybe a question going into camp how this group was going to look, but they think Nate Hobbs has added a lot. Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine, that actually those 3 have really solidified themselves. They're playing well. And then this is what family night's all about, Patrick. I believe a safety by the name of Omar Brown with 3 picks, going to try to make a team.
Do it, Omar.
Change his life. And I read a great article about different Packers who had their night, their coming out party on family night, and then parlay that into really good careers. Tremont Williams says family night really helped make him. Sam Shields first got noticed. Sometimes it's these younger defensive backs. So shout out Omar Brown. All
right, Omar Brown family night. Going to put a pin in it, and maybe we'll look back and be like, he's the latest in the pantheon of family night heroes.
I want you to pick which division
Okay.
of yours you go first.
Well, because I wanted to complain about coach forthcomingness, let's go with the NFC. Let's go with the NFC East.
Okay.
All right, we'll start with the New York Giants, who have an opportunity for the Battle of New York versus New Jersey, Saturday, August 9th. They're going to Orchard Park to take on the Bills. Cam Scatterbo is working back from an issue with something, according to Brian Daboll. Team reporters have noted it's a leg injury. Scatterbo, of course, runs kind of violently. He left the field very frustrated. I think they're playing it safe. When asked what they are going to do in terms of starters in the preseason, Daboll said, "We'll do what we believe is best."
I mean, come on.
Again,
Plus, like the reporters are out there; they see it. Scatterbo, I think, missed a handful of days, and then he came back in and then left right away. So that's a little concerning.
Malik Neighbors did have that shoulder injury last week that I think we briefly hit on. Was able to practice over the weekend, so big sigh of relief on that. Jalen Hyatt claims he's 16 pounds heavier than the weight that he played at last year.
It's a lot.
And I know, like, the offseason physique updates, I'm on record as saying that those are super overrated. 16 pounds is a lot for a dude who says he played at 172 last year. So I'm interested to see when we get this preseason game, the NGS data on Jalen Hyatt and his speed.
Yeah, I saw a quote from Brian Burns this last week that stuck out to me, and this is just continuing a trend of that Abdul Carter has just been looking insanely good. And Brian Burns was asked about it, and he's like, he's like, this is a watered down statement, but he's a dog. I don't have to really talk too much about him. Like, y'all have seen it. And based on the Giants reporters that are there, I think the only question is, like, is he the best player on the team? Is he the second? Like, you're not gonna put him over Texter Lawrence and Malik Neighbors until he actually plays. I was listening to this podcast, Giants Nation. It's like he's already right up there, and so I am really excited to see Abdul Carter.
And over on the other side, a more disappointing draft pick, Evan Neal, getting work at guard at the moment, still trying to scratch and claw his way into relevance. Let's go over to the Super Bowl champions. By the way, defensive coordinator, some of you may know, is Vic Fangio. We've got some Fangio hits. From his newser. Jordan Davis, another weight loss update, lost some weight. It's helping him get lower in his rushes. Fangio would like him to play at more 6'2", and I just think he means his pad level. He would like to be lower. He doesn't want Jordan Davis to actually become a shorter, smaller person. He would just like him to get lower. The thing that I noted from Fangio's availability is he's Vic.
Yes.
He's not gonna give you a whole lot of effusive praise. And so when he said that Jahad Campbell is making strides every day, and if he keeps making those strides, he'll be the player the Eagles thought he can be. Considering, like, the thing that he's said about Adoree Jackson is we're gonna find out who he is one way or another, essentially.
I don't want him. Yeah, we talked about that with Bo Wolf and Zach Bourbon last week. That's great.
Dave Zangaro of NBC Philly is keeping the score at corners opposite Quinyon Mitchell. 5 days for Adoree Jackson with the ones, and 4 days for Keely Ringo.
Okay, going back and forth.
So they're alternating. Zach Bond, AJ Brown, second straight practice he missed. Lewis Seen, Montrell Johnson, and Trevor Keegan all missed practice on Monday. It's more of a super precautionary thing for AJ Brown at this point. Like, why are we running AJ Brown into the ground in August? Which I agree with. In his absence, Devontae Smith was Devontae Smith, which is.
And he's back too after missing 3 or 4 days. I know it's always tricky to know which injuries to put much stock into or which player, like, looking better. Like, I felt bad that we mentioned how A.D. Mitchell had a really bad first week with the Colts, because then the second week, supposedly, he's just been, like, lighting it up. And that's what happens. It's football. The last thing I'll say on the Eagles is just Cooper DeJean playing at safety seems like it's a permanent thing now. Not that he's changing positions, but in order to keep him on the field at all time, that I think he's right now their second safety when they only have 4 defensive backs on the field. So he'll be where he was in the slot, but it sounds like he's going to play a lot of safety, which is interesting. We'll see how that works.
And not a commentary on his ability to play corner as was happening during the draft. It's just an opportunity to get your best.
And it's pretty rare that only 4 defensive backs are going to be on the field anyways, but it's just making sure that he never leaves the field.
let's go continue the DB discussion with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm sure there's the issue that we will discuss, but we talked about it before the pod. Siobhan Ravel's father was on the podcast, noted, used the phrase setback. Siobhan Ravel had surgery the doctor sent a note pre-draft that said the surgery was 4 months ago. So that was in February. So it's either October or November of 2024 when he had his knee surgery. And so folks are putting a timeline on this alleged setback at 6 to 8 weeks. That gets us closer to 1 year for Siobhan Ravel's recovery from reconstructive knee surgery. They harvest a piece of meat from you. They drill a hole through your knee. They take the piece of meat and shove it through there, and then they drill it into the bones on the other side. It takes extensive recovery, and I think people need to be more aware that, Adrian Peterson came back fast. Stephon Diggs has come back fast. People aren't automatons, despite people accusing me of believing that that's the case. These things happen differently. Every knee surgery is different. So I would urge.
I like how you really got in there with your motions and.
Well, yeah, they really got in here.
This is really the biggest sell I could ever have to check us out on YouTube.
Yes, please do. For all of our sakes. Brian Schottenheimer said if he had to list a depth chart over the weekend, Jalen Tolbert would be the number 3 wide receiver, which is, so again, George Pickens has made everything better, because we always talk about dropping everybody down a slot and asking people to do different things required of them. Jalen Tolbert, much better 3 than he was at 2. And Michael Parsons was in a jersey at practice. He was initially not in a jersey, and then he was in a jersey. Brian Schottenheimer says he's not even preparing for a circumstance. He's expecting Micah to be available week 1. Maybe.
It's almost disrespectful how much they've just ignored and disregarded his trade request. But yeah, I don't have anything really more to say on that we didn't hit on our last show. We'll just have to wait and see. I feel like Kevontae Turpin is their real third receiver now, at least based on the camp reports that they really are using him a lot more with Brian Schottenheimer. And maybe that's a camp trope, like returner guy becomes more of the offensive player. But it's obvious how talented he is. And I've long thought like they should use him more. And I really think he's going to be a real part of this offense this year. And I think they could use it. They've used Nate Thomas, by the way, their 7th round pick at left tackle. And so he's replacing Tyler Guyton. He gets the first shot. Kyer Elam looks locked into that starting cornerback spot,
which is
former first round pick of the Bills.
Which will be a huge get after the trade, considering the injuries at corner and waiting on Diggs to come back, and as well as Ravel to get ready on a normal time scale. We're not asking him to be Wolverine once again. Yeah,
and they signed Lyle Collins, by the way. He's back. Over the last week. It sounds like, Donovan Ezeraku and Jaden Blue, like any of these lists, and I look at them of like the standouts from camp so far. They've all got Ezeraku, the first or early second round pass rusher, atop their list, and Jaden Blue, the running back, pretty high. So they could definitely use a nice rookie class. And then like their off-ball linebacker group, it could be viewed as a weakness. Kenneth Murray they brought in, and Marist.
It's historically been a weakness the past 7 years.
He's getting a lot of pop, a lot of Marist Leofau pop. So maybe he's the guy.
And we'll see, because they got work with the Rams coming up tomorrow. And so if any team's going to put those guys to work, it'll be Coach McVay and whichever Rams make it to the field. The Washington Commanders are working left tackle, first round pick, Josh Connerly on the left and right side. If that concerns you about Laramie Tunsil, don't really. Connerly played at left in college, and Laramie takes the vet days. There was injury concern for Debo's finger over the weekend. Debo Samuel eventually came back to practice. Of course, the question is about Terry McLaurin. Still waiting to figure out, if the Commanders are going to make one of the best players on the team an offer to continue to catch footballs for their.
Everything seems so kosher there, though. He's like signing for fans every day and talking to everyone.
You need him to appear to be more.
No. It just seemed to me. This just seems like everyone knows that it's gonna get done, hopefully sooner than later. But it just seems like it's
Why not
gonna
sooner?
happen. Yeah, I don't know. That part I don't.
It's my question in all of these contract situations, including Micah's and Terry McLaurin's. Has the team made an offer? Has the team provided a piece
gotta
of paper
assume
with numbers on it and given it to them?
Well, according to Micah Parsons, no.
So
I don't know about the Terry McLaurin one. I have to assume yes, because it would be insane otherwise.
I don't know.
They need him.
I don't know why that's not the very first thing.
Right. Why isn't that happening way earlier? They need him because they're
That's the only part of the process.
like
Am I crazy, Greg?
No,
It's literally the only part. And there's always this discussion about how difficult it is to get deals done. Have you done that part?
the offering of the deal.
You offer the deal,
yeah.
and then the other person decides whether or not they want to accept the deal or not. And there's always this, there's this difficulty in negotiation. Well, offer the deal, and then they can say yes or no, right?
And when they say yes or no, if they say no, what they can do after you offer the deal, they can send a counter offer.
We're doing this, Greg.
I'm just saying.
We are going to revolutionize this thing. And then people are going to give us 3% of their lifetime earnings on a career that they only have for 3 years.
I do love a anti-agent rant from Patrick Claybon. No one is more anti-agent, not just for the players.
I imagine we could find some people,
but for the broadcasting community as well. I do love it.
They're never going to be blowing my phone up. So
it sounds like they're using Debo more like in a kind of just like receiver role instead of all the crazy stuff that he used to be, because they kind of need that. Like after him right now, Jalen Lane, 3rd round pick, is their starter in the slot. And that reminded me, like, didn't they just draft a guy in the slot last year high? And I was like, oh yeah, they drafted Luke McCaffrey, who had like family connections too with the 49ers and all this, Adam Peters, who comes from there. And I think he's having a hard time making an impact. And at this point has not had a lot of returns on the investment that they gave him. KJ Osborne is there, by the way. And I have an update, by the way, on if we have a guy that we're rooting for and want to watch in the preseason. It's definitely Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I mentioned that last week, the Commanders running back. He goes by the name Bill.
Bill Merritt?
I mean, his name is Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and he runs like a young Maurice Jones-Drew or something. But he goes by Bill.
Bill Merritt is a Buick dealer in
I think it's
Sheboygan.
I don't know if it's just Bill, but just Bill. He says he's had that name since he was like a kid. His parents didn't give it to him. It was like an inside joke that has just got, and he says he loves it. The fans are all calling him Bill. So shout out to Bill.
That's how it goes.
It seems, by the way, like the stadium at RFK, which I know had gotten tangled up in the name and some political maneuvering. Like a vote happened late last week. It's happening. There's like another vote on September 17th, but John Keim, who's covered their team forever, over 30 years, now he's with ESPN. He said the equivalent, the last vote is just like procedural. He said it'd be like the opponents throwing a Hail Mary from the opposing 5 with one play left. So he says this stadium, RFK site, it is happening, which would be cool.
Over a decade in the making.
Right.
Even longer.
And usually you get a Super Bowl. So maybe we'll be doing a Super Bowl there at some point. Let's take a quick break. We have some very exciting news on the other side, in addition to takeaways for 8 more NFC teams. Back on NFL Daily. Want to remind everyone, 40s and Free Agents is coming back.
Woo!
My podcast with Daniel Jeremiah will be dropping in all your feeds on Tuesday. That first one back will be in the NFL Daily feed, but we're asking a favor. Go ahead and subscribe. Hell, give a review, but definitely subscribe to 40s and Free Agents as a separate podcast. We're going to have a separate feed for it, so you don't have to, keep getting it pushed multiple times maybe into your text.
It is a premium service
that
is being offered to you free of charge.
Gratis.
Just, it's complimentary.
And it's really good. This first episode, we're going to talk about the NFC West, the best rookies and the pickups, and it was a fun show with Daniel and I. So Stay tuned for that, and then stay tuned for the very end of the show. I've got an update on the Claybon fan club.
Oh my gosh.
There were so many opinions, so many votes are out there. I got Robert Mays, the host of the Great Athletic Football Show, is in my mentions looking for clues, believing that the Claybon Ivers maybe won because I used Bon Iver as my song on Instagram. I can now.
Wait, he's accusing you of electoral malfeasance?
No. I think he was saying it was almost like a tease that the Claybon Ivers won the Claybon fan club competition, and I use that music. I can actually announce here, even before the end of the show, will not be the Claybon Ivers.
Oh.
It was not close to the top.
It was a lot of voting with the alt accounts, but us did.
Let's do the NFC West. Let's talk a little bit about the Rams. I am officially worried about Matthew Stafford. Part of the reason I'm worried about Matthew Stafford is nobody else seems to be worried about Matthew Stafford. He's 37 years old. He's got an injury that Sean McVay described in a way that made me feel uncomfortable.
It's static throwing. It's some of the unloaded running on the treadmill. Sometimes it might even be walking. He's able to do a little bit of lighter cardio and able to do some good core work, but it's more just functional strength surrounding the area while making sure that you don't do anything to set yourself back based on the trajectory that he's doing. But we are looking forward to getting him and easing him back into football, hopefully, in the near future.
The look on your face while he's saying that, knowing what he's going to say, it pains Greg to hear about Stafford's recovery routine.
Maybe I'm overreacting. You tell me. The question was, what is Stafford doing this week? And when he gets into he's walking, doing a little bit of walking, and pretty soon we'll be able to get into a little cardio. He can't even get out there and play a little doubles tennis. I know Stafford used to be a big time. It just seems like he's a little ways away here from getting anywhere close.
Well, I like that the general reaction. I understand your concern.
Yeah.
I like that the general reaction has been muted because the last thing I want is Sean McVay to retreat to Matthew has a back and he's working to get back. He's giving us details specifically on the types of things he's doing. And I think within those details notes the abundance of concern that both Matthew and the Rams are taking with regards to his recovery, and perhaps the ability to do this little amount of physical work was a part of the deal that got Matthew Stafford back to the Rams in the first place.
Well, that's what I thought, but when I hear this, I realize it's more. He wants to be getting ready for this season, and his body is not allowing him to at this point. And yes, I'm sure they are being as careful as can be, maybe extra careful because of the time of year. And yet he's a 37-year-old with back issues that's struggling to get on the field right now. And I just think, as optimistic as they project to be about Jimmy Garoppolo, and I really believe that they believe it. I think they love Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not. I think it all kind of falls apart without Matthew Stafford. And so I'm worried for the Rams fans in my family, but we'll see. I asked a gentleman who was on the show just last week, JB Long, who's been there at Rams practice every day, for some takeaways. Because I haven't been there.
He's our
correspondent. He's our correspondent.
Greg's got pull.
Couple items. He thinks Puka this year. Just keep an eye on his red zone production. Always been elite, Puka. Not as much in the red zone. Not as much scoring touchdowns. Believes there's been a real focus on that, and that he's been outstanding and racking up some numbers, I believe. And you just think about Devontae Adams, who's one of the best, red zone receivers of his generation, and the two of those guys together. So that's just something that to keep an eye on. Of Puka, he can also run the ball a little bit if you wanted to near the goal line. So that's something to watch. It's interesting. Nate Landman, who was a free agent pickup, a lot of the fans that have been out there and the media covering noted, he's really looked good. He's made a lot of plays. McVay's been asked about him, so this isn't just from JB. But JB noted he quickly got the green dot. Immediately they decided he's going to be the play caller, so he's going to be an important guy for them. And Omar Spates was a guy who last year came in, PFF-wise, was graded pretty highly. I think the Rams probably internally maybe are a little more optimistic about that linebacker group than people on the outside would be, because that's been a problem area for them for years.
Yeah, and again, to harp on it one more time, a significant answer to that linebacker position that's playing at Seattle and had a great season.
But they chose Omar Speights over him.
They did.
And I think they would at least say, for us, we're happy with where we are. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Hopefully, and again, for Devontae's sake, it's Matthew Stafford. It's gonna make everything better. If it's Jimmy G again, like you said, as great as they can feel about Jimmy G, there's a significant fall off from Matthew Stafford to James Richard Garoppolo.
Right. The backup quarterbacks around the league are not amazing. So if you're comparing Jimmy G to the average backup and then you adjust for the fact that it's in a Sean McVay offense with Devontae and Puka, yeah, I guess I can see what you're saying, but it's still a dramatic drop off.
Significant.
Right. Like maybe, yeah, he's better than the average backup. I could buy that, but I have to see it. Also, some optimism, I think, about the safety group. The cornerbacks, definitely a question mark, but Quentin Lake, Cam Curl, Cam Kitchens, and then Jalen McCullough, who had 4 picks last year too. Like that's a nice little safety group. So I think some optimism there. Let's go to Seattle, where there is optimism on Charles Cross, had surgery on his finger and immediately returned to the field. It was supposedly like, oh, he'll be ready for week 1. Offensive linemen, NFL players, professional athletes, they're built different. He's just already practicing again.
Yeah.
Forget week 1.
Yeah, getting work on a digit is tough. Especially, I don't know what the grade of dislocation it was, but anytime there's surgery,
required surgery.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't insignificant if they had to go in there.
I think it's gotta be broken. It's the same thing. Like I love Rap Sheet, but stop presenting the news as like, hey, great news. He's Tyler Guyton's getting surgery and is only going to be out 6 to 8 weeks with a fracture in his knee.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not great news. Imagine how much that would devastate your entire life.
Yeah.
That would be the horrible news. And the same thing with Maxwell Hairston, the cornerback for the great news. He's only out like 3 weeks with a painful high ankle sprain.
It's only great in a relative sense to how bad the news could be. Like the obviously everything comes from the agents, but like when we found out Najee's eye injury was just superficial. Like,
yeah.
If something happens to my eye, it's not just anything.
Meanwhile, there's no timetable. I know we're doing NFC, but Jim Harbaugh did say this on Monday when we're taping. There is 0 timetable for Najee Harris to return. So whatever it is,
yikes,
I'm a little concerned about.
Yes.
Back to the Seahawks. Sorry, Seahawks. 2 items that have struck me listening and watching the coverage there. Number 1, it's a whole lot of sneak dissing on the last year's offensive coaching staff. Just from the offensive line, from the running game, everyone.
I don't know how sneaky it is.
Yeah, just they really believe that coaching is going to be the difference. Because talent-wise, like you lost DK, you lost Geno. Like I know you added Cooper Kupp and Darnold, but I think you're hoping for that to be a wash, basically. But especially the DK to Kupp thing is obviously not a wash. But I think they're really counting on coaching, the details, the focus. So we'll see if that really improves everything. I think it can help a lot on the offensive line specifically. And then last thing on the Seahawks, just a lot of Torrey Horton pop. Day 3 draft pick. DJ and I are going to talk about him on our next show, our first time back with 40s and free agents. But he was called Jerry Rice Jr. by a teammate on the Seahawks. I think that was a little bit of an exaggeration, but basically he's been lighting it up at camp. I think he's their third receiver. I was wondering who's going to be their third receiver. This is what camp's all about. We're finding out he really looks like he will be their third receiver. Maybe not Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I think that's good news.
Yeah, and it allows MVS to be in his MVS role, and we can see Sam Darnold flash that arm. Just hit him. Maybe not volume targets for MVS. The rookie can get the work. And, of course, JSN and Cooper Kupp will be JSN and Cooper Kupp.
It was Reek Woolen, by the way. I wanted to make sure I got who called him Jerry Rice Jr. One of those things where he was like, I think the next guy on the podium where he's walking by and he's like, oh, there's Jerry Rice Jr. I don't know if that's like catching on or anything. You know who could catch on in Arizona?
Who's that?
Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, that is an actual junior of a Hall of Famer who has missed some practice, but when he's been out there, by all accounts, it has been better, and him and Trey McBride have kind of been hogging all the targets. As you would expect, There is a pretty steep fall off after those two. I'm a little concerned about the fall off, but those two I'm excited.
Yeah, you would hope that Michael Wilson would fall into that role. I know that they've kind of rotated guys. in that number 3 spot in terms of who gets the targets there. But yeah, that's what you expect. And considering the way the middle to late part of last year went, that's got to be a positive sign if they're force feeding Marv at this point.
Yeah, and I want Trey McBride fans out there to go check out Jordan Rodriguez's great feature on McBride. It really got me thinking about what a difference it is to have like a top 3 to 5 tight end. It completely changes your offense. So I think that article does a good job pointing that out. And it made me think those guys are maybe the most underpaid players in the NFL, is an elite tight end. Because I get why the number 6 tight end compared to the number 6 like wide receiver, it's not in the same ballpark. But like a George Kittle or a McBride, what they make compared to like the elite wide receivers, it's like a massive gulf. They're like making like average, number 2 receiver type money, and they're just so much more valuable than that. Like they're as valuable, I think, as a number 1 receiver. Just a random thought.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up the contracts for tight ends, but the problem is they have it ranked by average salary, which is fraudulent. Everybody needs to stop doing that, because like Taysom Hill will be the number 9 paid tight end, but
like McBride got 43 guaranteed. The extension was, under 20 a year, even on the extended part of the deal. That's like number 2 receiver. That's like significantly less than Devonta Smith or Jalen Waddle. And those guys are great players. But man, a George Kittle and a McBride change your entire offense.
Especially in terms of what you're asking them to do in so many different ways and venues, that there's only so many people on the planet that can do it, where in other positions it's really more specialized.
I'm honking too much on random stuff. This is what happens. We put the microphone on and I just get totally off target.
That one guy's like, Greg, my drive is exactly 57 minutes long, and you're still talking.
It's another good rant that Patrick has. Don't worry about it being shorter or not. Trey Benson, a lot of Trey Benson pop, although mixed signals, but they say he's a different player this year. Garrett Williams, who is their good nickelback. They're using him more on the outside to keep him on the field, kind of Cooper DeJean style. They want to make sure he's never off the field for them, Garrett Williams, so that's kind of new for him. The Cardinals website had a good feature on Paris Johnson, just someone we never mention on the show, but if you were looking for a surprise all-pro, and that would mean like one of the very best tackles in the league, I think Paris Johnson is on that list, maybe trying to get to that elite status. And then Will Johnson with a pick of Kyler Murray in their scrimmage. The other day. It was supposedly an eye-popping pick. So Will Johnson looks like he's going to start for them.
Yes, and after the slide, huge Will Johnson guy.
Yes.
The slide completely radicalized me for Will Johnson.
Love it. I was big on him going into the draft. We got the 49ers up next. Now, Juwan Jennings has aggravated a calf injury. I thought this really is an injury, but when they asked Kyle Shanahan about it, he said you'd have to ask Juwan about that, but he tells me it's his calf. You got to be delicate with those calves. So just the tone of voice was a little odd. So that actually would be good news for 49ers fans, because it would mean that he doesn't have this recurring calf injury. But this is where we're at with these whole
Kyle being weird has made the injury situation completely indecipherable.
The words got to be delicate with those calves made me think, oh, maybe it is just a holding. There's been a drumbeat.
Or he's being completely honest and we have no idea because it's Kyle.
True. Well, you do got to be delicate with those calves. Ricky Pearsall reportedly is looking better. This has been a lot of the practice reports, and then we got an on-the-ground correspondent report from Jordan Rodriguez that I'm going to quote directly.
Oh.
She's not happy with me when I paraphrased some of her quotes the other day on Trey Harris when she had detailed, just how special he was. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to quote her directly.
Okay.
Pearsall is going to be really, really good. He's a clear number 1 to me and a volume player at Monday's practice. Extremely strong and physical at the catch point, quicker off the line of scrimmage than I expected. He won a lot. Love it.
Thanks, Jordan.
I mean, that was good.
That's effusive praise.
I'll buy it. You got to trust. First of all, you got to trust what you see when you're there. And I think he showed last year like he's an NFL player. And he had a lot to overcome, not just the shooting, but the injuries and learning this offense. It's very difficult for a receiver. And I guess I'd kind of give Kyle the benefit of the doubt, too, that like he is really good picking out receivers. So I could see a huge second-year league.
Yeah, and there was a lot going on between Ayuk and the injury and the holdout and being late.
Yes.
Of course, Ricky had to overcome, the wound trauma from his gunshot, and he's coming back and playing his rookie season. It's a lot, and there was turmoil. Debo eventually was going to get traded. There was a lot happening, significantly less happening this offseason.
Yes, and they need him to show out. Kevin Givens is a defensive tackle for the team that was possibly going to start, and he has a pectoral injury that is going to knock him out into the regular season, maybe a big chunk of it. Isaac Garendo, the backup running back, is going to be out for a few weeks. I've noticed a lot of pop on Upton Stout, their rookie nickelback. He's sending cut-ups back and forth to the old nickelback for them, K'Wan Williams. I like that when like ex-players become friends. It's been a lot of Mac Jones pop, sneaky Mac Jones pop. And they cut Greg Joseph. So I guess Jake Moody is their only kicker on the roster. But Kyle, again, being weird, kind of warned like the kicker battle's not over. It's just they have 13 guys out of practice because of injuries and 5 more on PUP. And he said that is not the luxury. But I think kickers know that they're battling guys that aren't even here. So that he basically was saying, don't get too comfortable with that. All right, let's go to another division. By the way, the last thing that Jordan said, which I really liked on a text, was that she watched Pearsall's eyes and hands all practice. And he's got, quote, it.
Oh.
End quote. He's got it.
Locked in. So does Jordan. To focus that intently on one aspect of practice while also covering the entire practice, it's a generational talent.
She's got it.
That, we're blessed to be associated with. The South, I'll let you pick the team that we start with, Greg. Why don't we do that?
Well, I picked the team. We're going to the NFC South.
Yeah.
We saved the best for last, and I think we start with the Saints.
Let's start with the New Orleans Saints, who have seen, we'll start with the good news, Blake Group made 59 and 54 yarders over the weekend. He's 25 of 26 on kicks right now in camp. Also, Kool-Aid McKinstry has taken every snap at right corner, and he picked off Spencer Rattler over the weekend on a great play. Good stuff for the second-year guy out of the University of Alabama. They've had guys flash on defense. Over on the offensive side, it's still Rattler and Shuck. Not as much Hainer. They're still alternating in terms of the quarterback position. They signed Shane Lemieux as Nick Salvaderi went to IR, so it's a guard. Both of those guys playing the guard position. The shifts up front, still kind of working through the former first-round tackles struggles to make a spot at the guard position. Blanking on
Trevor Penning.
Trevor Penning. There it is. The draft for need a few years ago that didn't work out in terms of talent or need.
The quarterback battle, it just sounds like it's Rattler by default right now, that he's done some things. There's not a lot of throws down the field. I've listened to Nick Underhill at New Orleans Football and Mike Triplett, who are there every day. And in his words, he says he thought there's no doubt that he's ahead and that he can just play in an NFL game, and that Shuck just does not look ready to play in an NFL game, which
makes sense because despite of Tyler Shuck's advanced age, which, I mean, it's 365 days for everybody, the actual play experience in college really didn't add up to that much. I believe it's less than 30 total starts.
They might have had more plays in their scrimmage on Sunday than he had in his entire career. They played in 126 plays in their scrimmage, which is that's an outrageously long scrimmage where they did full drives. And yeah, as you mentioned, it was mostly Shuck and Rattler with the starting team. And how they described it was, yeah, the offense was struggling in general, but Shuck's bad plays looked catastrophic, looked panicked, looked like, hey, I'm just throwing it blind, or hey, I don't know what's going on, and not being totally ready, even though he had actually apparently a long touchdown drive where he did some good things, but he just isn't pushing the ball down the field at all. And the bad plays are extra bad. And so we'll see. I think they're a really interesting team to watch in the preseason.
And again, a lot of that is that give and take, because like the defensive guys flashing there, I was talking about like Ugo Amadi making plays, Alante Taylor, especially in zone coverages, in which we talked about last week in the NFC, was all of these Saints defenders saying that they're able to have more freedom. They're able to move around and be more aggressive because it's not as complicated and they're not as set in the ways of the 2024 Saints defense. And so that's been a continuing theme. And I think that may be a reason, because both of these units are dealing with new coordinators, a new head coach. It's an offensive head coach, young quarterbacks. these things do take some time. But again, the outlook for the actual season for the Saints, talent-wise, roster-wise, it's a little rough.
Not great.
Not.
They have some talented players, though. I think they have. The thing is, they have a lot more, to me, talented players than the Titans, for instance, or even the Browns overall. But they're going to be held back. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on to the rival, where the Atlanta Falcons, the focus and concern would be with first-round edge Jalen Walker. His hamstring is causing him to miss some practice. They're taking an abundance of caution. He seems to be intimating that he's fine. There's some quotes. He said, "I have my emotions, of course. I'm just getting back out there as fast as I can. But they know what's best for the team, and they know what's best for me." So it feels like Jalen might want to get back on the field, get more work in 11-on-11. They have high days and low days, and they're getting more work for Jalen Walker on the low days, and the high days where it's more 11-11 team stuff, full pads, full speed. Not doing as much right now. Feel like that's out of an abundance of caution. Caleb McGarry, congratulations, got an extension today. He was set to earn a base of 14.5. Don't have the total numbers, but I'm sure he gets a bump up for this year. And they don't have a tackle problem next year. And again, a reminder to teams who may have talented players that they would like to have on the team, you can sign them a year before their deal is up. So Caleb McGarry gets a new deal for the Falcons.
Even just solid to good starters, because you know what you need in the NFL? Solid to good starters.
Yeah,
like you don't wait till the last minute, or you don't just try to hopefully like replace them in the draft. I feel like there hasn't been a ton of buzz off Michael Penix this camp. That's not good or bad. I think he's, by all accounts, played pretty well down there. It's just interesting. It's almost like people treating him like a known commodity when he's totally not. But we'll just see.
I mean, he got thrust in his first few starts in the heat of a playoff race, and they
performed well.
They came very, very close. We will not see him nor Kirk Cousins in the preseason, which I would feel like it's an opportunity to get out there and show Kirko change, can move and throw the ball, and be like, hey, team, wouldn't you like to have Kirk Cousins?
I mean, in theory, it's risking him getting hurt, but I tend to agree with you. Any football activity, including practice, is a risk of getting hurt, and you have to play football at some point. I think it'd be okay to play Kirk Cousins a little in the preseason. I'm with you, especially for my enjoyment. I'm not watching any Falcons. Give me a break.
Well, yeah, I'd like to see. I'd like to see Mike and some of the young guys. Xavier Watts, the rookie safety out of Notre Dame, making some plays in camp as well. Feel great about him. Over to the Carolina Panthers. They had their fan evening, which was great for almost everybody other than Ryan Fitzgerald, the rookie kicker, who I believe only missed like 2 kicks in his entire college career, was 1 for 3. He's in a kicking competition with Matthew Wright. That was rough. We will see Bryce and the starters in the preseason opener.
Let's go.
The Steelers, according to Dave Canales.
Help out the NFL Network programming.
Yeah, right. They have a center battle right now. Cade Mays and Austin Corbett. Coach Canales said they're just playing this out, seeing how it goes. The difference is Cade Mays is 26, making $3.4 million. Austin Corbett has a $5 million cap hit, and he's 30. So I have to feel like if that one continues to be close, then they're going to go with Mays in the center spot. And they signed search bar member Chris Barnes over the weekend. He didn't play a lot with the search bar, but he did play for the Cardinals a lot in 2023, started 6 games.
Yeah, I think they're settling in on their cornerback rotation too. Young player Chow Smith-Wade is their cornerback 3. I think they like their cornerbacks. Obviously J.C. Horn and Mike Jackson they brought back like more than maybe the outside does. Mike Kay does a good job covering them for the Charlotte Observers, and he said the other day he thinks Jadavian Sanders might be your MVP of training camp so far, 2nd-year tight end. So that's just a name to watch. You'd have to be a deep fantasy leaguer, but a talented young man. So something to watch.
Big physical. He has the physical traits to, if he's able to put it all together, go into that echelon. I mean, not calling him George Kittle or Trey McBride now, but just in terms of physical stature, he could do it.
And Tommy Tremble was the starter, but he's hurt, so it might be one of those situations you don't get your starting job back. By the way, it's Tetaroa McMillan or T-Mac, but he has laid it out. He does not want to be called Tet, like specifically. Don't call him Tet. His mom doesn't want it.
Yeah, and that's the priority.
She was in the audience when they asked him about it too, and he deferred to her. And like that's his name. That's the name I gave him. was Tetaroa. It wasn't Tet.
I
But
appreciate.
if you want to go T-Mac, that's cool.
Yeah.
But
I appreciate going directly to the source on that.
I
Like,
just wanted to,
the original source. Like, hey, mom, you take this.
He deferred.
You're
She
here.
was sitting in the crowd. He let her answer. All right, let's finish with the Bucks.
Todd Bowles said that he has to consistently remind himself that Jacob Parrish is a rookie. When asked about his growth, he said that it's hard to say that Jacob Parrish has grown because of how good he was when he got there.
Okay,
So Jacob Parrish in the secondary for the Bucks, lock it down there.
interesting. Give me more. Position, cornerback, safety,
Cornerback.
cornerback.
Jacob Parrish, the corner. I remember back a few years ago, Matthew Stafford on a follow through hit his thumb on a helmet, led to the fluffy helmets.
Mhm.
Not necessarily out of head injury prevention, just to prevent the quarterback from hurting himself. Baker's injury also came on a follow through where he hit a shoulder pad. Kind of day to day with that. Not a lot of concern.
He's been out of practice, yeah,
Yeah.
but it doesn't sound like it's a big deal.
Yeah, just precautionary stuff. And yeah, the rookies that we discussed last week for the Bucks still lighting it up. Still feel great about it.
Yeah, this will be the last NFC takeaways with this format because in the following weeks we're going to be doing preseason game takeaways and any notes from the week we can kind of throw in there. But yeah, we're just losing ways to come up with positives to talk about with Emeka Egbuka. I mean, Scott. Here's one for you. Scott Reynolds, who covers them for Pewter Report, has covered them the whole time. He says the best rookie that he's seen in a rookie training camp in 30 years of covering the team.
That's effusive.
And he's there. It's like you have to give, if someone's been there all 30 years, you got to be like, well, I can't doubt that. I haven't been there.
Yeah, that's multiple Hall of Famers over the course of 30 years.
He said it's the best camp. Not saying he was not saying he's going to be the best player, he said it's been the best camp. So that's the type of love that Egbuka gets. And it's the type of love that Patrick Claybon gets on this show. So last week, we'll circle back. We had a lot of options to name the Claybon fan group. I had some that I came up with. We took some from the fans, and we asked on Instagram where you can do polls, what the favorites were. The problem is they only give you the option to go 4 at a time on Instagram. So I do want to show you the votes.
Okay.
And we had 2 different votes. And Claymates, who I believe was suggested by one of the listeners, was not even brought up on the show. Runaway winner in terms of their section. Just destroyed Claybon Voyage, Clay Bonafides. The problem is, I have to admit, like I kind of forgot it. I saw Claymates after the fact. I tried to put the 4 best in the first grouping, and that was going to be it. I was just making some editorial judgment. And then I was like, oh, I forgot about Claymates. That is kind of amazing. James Coe actually reached out and was like, Claymates is amazing. And I was like, oh, we got to make sure Claymates is in there. And so I think the deck was kind of stacked for Claymates to win.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm not taking this as a final result. Let's go to the next voting. And this one was closer between the Clay Bonbons, the Clay Bon Vivants, Pat's Pack, and the Clay Bon Hivers, and very evenly distributed in terms of the votes. But ultimately, the Clay Bonbons won among these 4 with 39% of the vote. Pat's Pack, who Jordan Rodriguez suggested, great one, 24%.
Yeah, this was a barn burner.
Yeah, I think these were the better ones in general. And so I think we need to have a rundown. What do they call it? A runoff? We need to have the Clay Bonbons versus the Claymates in one final vote to make it clear. Because the way I set it up, it didn't seem fair. Maybe Claymates will still win, but it didn't seem fair that they got this easy draw, and that's why all the votes don't count the same. And so
it's tough because despite the fact that I have so many alt accounts, I can only log in. That you get rate limited if you the Instagram servers too much to log on alt accounts, so I can only vote so much.
And
141 times.
And yeah, and if you're watching, and if you've already turned off, I would totally understand. But if you're deeply invested in this, like Robert May, like myself, we had a graphic initially, and this got Eric really fired up because he put all the votes up all together. And I just thought that would be unfair. And that's on me as a host for not spelling out. But you were.
I did exactly what you said. Hey, can you put this on a graphic? And I put the numbers and the words on a graphic.
And I just thought it was misleading because it looked like they were all against each other, but it was kind of like one was in the AFC and one was in the NFC. The Eagles didn't get to have a lead in the Super Bowl because they scored more in the NFC Championship.
This is a great
than the
conversation to have before we start recording. And and then you totally send this to the graphics department next time, not your producer. Thanks.
Like on the path to the Super Bowl, the Eagles didn't play the Jags. Like all of these things happen. Like the graphic does indicate how many people in a particular opportunity voted for a particular
Claymate's got more than 100 votes more than Clay Bonbons. So maybe they are the favorites. I only bring this up because Eric Roberts is one of the coolest, most calm, collected producers ever known to man. One of his great traits. And when I mentioned this thing about the graphic, I mean, he got fired up.
It's the little things that set me off, Greg.
He was mad at me.
Well, yeah, because he felt like he executed.
Can we have these made into a graphic?
Yeah.
Sure. Or just fly them up. Yeah, because those screenshots look amazing.
I mean, I know now what Eric Roberts is like when Michael Conforto strikes out for like the third time with men in scoring position late in the 8th. So yeah, we're gonna have to bring the vote, move it forward in one final runoff.
I cannot believe anybody is partaking in this, but thank you.
It's democracy. It's not getting respected everywhere, but we're into it here. So we will put up that vote. I'll put it up tonight.
This process is more democratic than anything.
Monday night, we're putting that vote up. Tuesday, very excited. As I mentioned, we're coming back. Daniel Jeremiah and I.
Woo!
Again, subscribe to 40s and Free Agents. And then our next show in this feed after that, NFL Daily Feed, will be with our friend Colleen Wolfe. Little mailbag.
Yeah.
By the way, yes, send me any questions on Blue Sky or Twitter.
You
wherever
guys
you
should
want to do
drink
it.
40s.
Clay Bonbons, we're back.